Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master, this exciting journey into the world of rare coins, where small pieces of metal can transform into treasures worth unimaginable amounts. Today we are diving deep into the story of the 1970s D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that on the surface seems like nothing more than an ordinary piece of change, but due to its errors, mistakes, and unique mint mark issues, it has reached values that defy belief. Imagine holding a coin that was meant to be worth only a single cent, yet in rare cases collectors value it at hundreds of millions of dollars. Yes, you heard that right, the 1970s D Lincoln penny is connected to stories of worth around $580 million because of the mysteries surrounding minting errors and anomalies. The idea that a coin you could find in your pocket change or in a jar at home could be so valuable is enough to spark excitement among both experienced collectors and those just beginning to explore coin collecting. This is not just about money, it is about history, mistakes, and the fascinating quirks of the minting process that turned something ordinary into something extraordinary. The 1970 D Lincoln cent comes from the Denver Mint, one of the busiest coin-producing facilities in the United States. That year alone, hundreds of millions of pennies were struck, most of them standard copper coins with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. For the average person, these coins were simply used in everyday transactions. But for a small number of coins, mistakes happened, and those mistakes changed everything. Mint errors, die varieties, and mint mark oddities are what turn an everyday penny into a collector's dream. For the 1970s D Lincoln penny, these variations and flaws have sparked some of the most exciting discoveries in U.S. numismatics. When talking about rare errors, one of the first things collectors look for are double dies. These occur when the die used to strike the coin was improperly manufactured, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. In the case of the 1970 pennies, double die obverse varieties are legendary. Some examples show dramatic doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." These are the kinds of details that experts hunt for with magnification, knowing that a strong double die can push a coin's value from pocket change into the tens of thousands, or even higher depending on rarity and condition. For the 1970s D, stories of dramatic doubling exist, and those coins are among the most sought after in the Lincoln cent series. Another fascinating aspect of the 1970s D penny lies in the mint mark itself. The Denver Mint used a punch to apply the D mint mark to the die, and sometimes those punches were misplaced or struck more than once. This led to repunched mint marks, where you can see more than one impression of the D. In some examples, the repunched mint mark is so bold that it is clearly visible to the naked eye. Collectors call these RPMs, and they are treasured finds. A strong repunched mint mark can send a coin's value soaring, especially when combined with other errors or if the coin remains in high-grade condition. These anomalies tell a story about the way coins were produced at the time, before mint marks were included directly in the die hubs. Beyond double dies and repunched mint marks, the 1970 D penny also brings attention to off-center strikes, clipped planches, and broad strikes. These are physical striking errors where the coin was not properly aligned or the blank metal disc was flawed before striking. Off-center strikes can range from slight misalignments to dramatic shifts where part of the design is missing. A 1970s D penny struck off-center by more than 50% could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on eye appeal. A clipped planchet, where part of the blank was cut off during production, creates a coin with a missing crescent-shaped area. These two can be highly collectible, especially when combined with other errors. Each of these mistakes adds to the lore of the coin, making it a tangible piece of minting history. The 1970s D penny also carries intrigue because of its connection to proof coins minted in San Francisco that same year. In 1970, a famous double die obverse proof penny was created at the San Francisco Mint, and that coin became a legend in coin collecting circles. While the 1970s D is not a proof coin, the awareness around double dies in the year led collectors to pay close attention to Denver Mint pennies as well. This heightened attention helped uncover many of the mint mark varieties and errors that otherwise might have gone unnoticed. In a way, the notoriety of the 1970s double die obverse proof penny helped boost the fame of the 1970 D penny, even though they came from different mints. Now, how do these errors and varieties lead to astronomical values like $580 million? The truth is that the coin market thrives on rarity, demand, and stories. A coin with an extremely rare error becomes the centerpiece of auctions, where competitive bidding can drive prices beyond what anyone imagined. When collectors with deep pockets are determined to own a specific rarity, the price has no ceiling. For example, a unique 1970 D Lincoln penny with a dramatic mint mark anomaly, pristine condition, and a provenance linking it to a famous collection could theoretically fetch record-breaking sums. That's how the legend of coins worth hundreds of millions comes to life. It is not that every 1970 D penny is valuable, but the rarest of the rare, the once-in-a-lifetime discovery, could indeed be valued in the hundreds of millions by the right buyer. Part of the thrill of collecting is the possibility that you might stumble upon such a coin. Imagine searching through rolls of pennies, perhaps saved over decades, and suddenly spotting a double date or an unusual mint mark. That moment of discovery is priceless for a collector. Some of the most valuable coins today were found in circulation by ordinary people who simply paid attention. The story of the 1970 D penny keeps that dream alive, making it one of the most exciting coins to hunt for. Condition is another crucial factor in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, with mint state coins showing no signs of wear. A 1970s D penny with a rare error in uncirculated condition can be worth many times more than one with the same error that has heavy wear. Collectors pay top dollar for coins that look as though they just left the mint, especially when combined with a famous error. Third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC play a key role in certifying and authenticating these coins, providing confidence to buyers and sellers in the marketplace. The 1970 D penny is also valuable for the historical context it represents. The Lincoln Cent series began in 1909, honoring the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1970, the coin had been in production for over 60 years, with millions of Americans familiar with its design. Yet even after so many years, errors and varieties continued to appear, reminding us that the minting process, though industrialized, still carried room for human error and mechanical flaws. This connection to history adds depth to the coin's appeal, making it more than just a monetary investment but also a collectible piece of American heritage. Collectors often discuss the possibility that certain 1970 D pennies were experimental strikes or test runs, though hard evidence is scarce. Theories suggest that variations in the copper alloy or striking pressure could have created unusual coins that slipped into circulation. These kinds of mysteries keep numismatists engaged, sparking research, debate, and discoveries. Every new find, every newly catalogued variety, adds another layer to the story of the 1970 D penny. Beyond the technical errors, the sheer number of varieties catalogued for the 1970s D makes it a playground for specialists. Collectors can build entire sets of repunched mint marks from that year, each slightly different from the other. Others focus on double dies, compiling examples of minor and major doubling. This diversity means that collectors at all levels can participate, whether they are searching for a high-value rarity or simply enjoying the hunt for interesting varieties. The inclusiveness of the Lincoln Cent series is part of why it remains so popular. Over time, stories of extraordinary values connected to coins like the 1970s D penny have captured the imagination of the public. News headlines about coins selling for millions fuel curiosity and inspire people to check their change. While not every penny is valuable, the possibility that one might be is enough to keep the excitement alive. In this way, the 1970s D penny represents not only numismatic value but also cultural fascination, bridging the gap between expert collectors and everyday people. The legacy of the 1970s D Lincoln Cent is secure in the world of rare coins. With its mint mark oddities, double dies, and striking errors, it remains one of the most studied and beloved pennies in modern U.S. history. The staggering figures attached to its rarest examples, such as the $580 million valuation often mentioned in numismatic legends, underscore the power of rarity and human desire. Whether those values are realized at auction or remain theoretical, they highlight the unique role coins play in blending history, art, economics, and passion. And so, the story of the 1970s D penny is more than just about a coin. It is about possibility, discovery, and the thrill of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary. Each time you hold a penny from that year, you are not just holding copper, but also holding a small piece of mystery. It could be just another coin, or it could be the one that changes everything. That is the magic of coin collecting. Today, as we dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where tiny details can transform a simple piece of change into a fortune worth hundreds of millions of dollars. In this video, we'll explore the incredible story of the 1990 Lincoln 1-cent coin, often referred to as the 1990 Liberty Penny, and why certain rare versions of this coin are considered by collectors and experts to be worth as much as $470 million, far beyond its humble 1-cent face value. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary penny that you might find in your pocket or loose change jar, but the truth is that the 1990 penny carries with it a story of minting errors, die variations, striking anomalies, and mint mark peculiarities that have elevated it to legendary status in the world of numismatics. By the time we're done, you'll understand why a coin that millions of people once overlooked could hold such staggering value, and why collectors continue to hunt tirelessly for these rare treasures that could be hiding in plain sight. The Lincoln cent has always been one of the most collected coins in American history. Designed in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it has seen countless modifications over the decades. By 1990, the Lincoln cent was still one of the most common coins in circulation, with billions struck each year by the United States Mint. But in the vast ocean of these ordinary coins, a small handful turned out to be extraordinary. To the untrained eye, they look just like any other penny, but under closer inspection, numismatists have discovered remarkable features that distinguish them as once-in-a-lifetime rarities. Some of these rare features include double die errors, misaligned strikes, off-center mintings, and even wrong planchet strikes where a Lincoln penny was mistakenly struck on a dime or foreign coin blank. These varieties not only capture the imagination of collectors but also skyrocket the coin's value into the stratosphere. When we think about the 1990 Lincoln penny, we need to understand the context of the time. By this point, the penny was already being made from a copper-plated zinc composition, a change that started in 1982 after the rising cost of copper made pure copper pennies too expensive to produce. This meant that all 1990 pennies had a thin layer of copper over a zinc core, a fact that made them more susceptible to certain types of minting errors. For example, improper bonding of the copper plating could create bubbles, peeling, or unusual surface features that some collectors now prize as unique varieties. Additionally, the high-speed production process used by the mint in the late 20th century meant that quality control sometimes failed to catch mistakes, leading to double dies, repunched mint marks, or off-metal strikes that escaped into circulation. Among the most famous 1990 penny varieties is the proof cent struck without the test mint mark. Proof coins are specially made by the mint for collectors, featuring mirror-like fields and frosted designs, and in 1990, proof coins were struck at the San Francisco Mint with an S mint mark. However, a small number of proof cents were mistakenly struck without the mint mark, leaving them blank where the S should have appeared. These error coins quickly became highly sought after, with some selling for tens of thousands of dollars. Now, imagine the escalation of value when you consider the possibility of an extraordinary, unique version tied to the same year but with even rarer anomalies. This is where the legend of the 1990 Liberty Penny worth $470 million takes root. Collectors speculate about extreme rarities that might exist but have not yet been discovered or only rumored within the numismatic community. These include possibilities like a 1990 penny struck on a silver planchet, one struck on a dime blank, or even a coin struck with an experimental composition that was never released to the public. Such coins, if authenticated, could be priceless. In fact, the numismatic world thrives on these possibilities, because the tiniest detail, an extra line, a missing mint mark, a misplaced date, can be the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth millions. Errors like double die obverse coins, where the lettering or date appears double due to a misalignment in the die during production, are among the most recognized errors that elevate value. On a 1990 penny, a doubled Liberty or "In God We Trust" could turn an otherwise common coin into a treasure. Similarly, a double die reverse where the Lincoln Memorial shows doubling of the steps or columns could make it extremely valuable. Off-center strikes, where the design is not centered on the blank, also create collectible rarities, especially when the date remains fully visible. These coins are like fingerprints, each error unique, each one a story of how something went wrong in the mint's mechanical process. Now, let's talk about mint mark anomalies. In 1990, pennies were struck at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S for proof coins. Sometimes mint marks were punched incorrectly, leading to repunched mint marks where you might see traces of two deed marks overlapping, or even a misplaced mint mark entirely. These tiny quirks are beloved by error collectors and can dramatically increase value. The absence of a mint mark on certain proof coins, as mentioned earlier, is one of the most spectacular errors of the year. But why would a coin like this reach values of hundreds of millions of dollars? The answer lies in rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. When a coin is so rare that only a handful, or perhaps only one, exist, it becomes priceless to collectors who want to own a piece of history. Wealthy collectors and institutions are willing to pay astronomical sums to secure the rarest of the rare. The 1990 penny rumored or speculated to be worth $470 million would have to be one of those unique examples, a coin so unusual and historically important that its value transcends normal market expectations. Over time, coins like these become legends. Stories circulate of someone finding a rare penny in their pocket change, or inheriting a small collection from a relative only to discover that one of the coins is worth a fortune. These tales inspire countless treasure hunters to examine every penny that passes through their hands. And the 1990 Liberty penny fits perfectly into this narrative, an ordinary coin that might conceal an extraordinary secret. The sheer fascination with such coins goes beyond monetary value. They represent mistakes in a system designed to be precise, accidents that escape the watchful eyes of the mint, and artifacts that remind us of the human side of coin production. Every double die, every missing mint mark, every off-center strike tells a story about how even the most carefully engineered processes can yield surprises. For collectors, owning such a coin is not only about wealth but also about holding a piece of history and mystery. If we imagine the 1990 Liberty penny that could command a price of $470 million, it would likely be a coin unlike any other. Perhaps it was struck on a rare experimental alloy, or perhaps it carries a dramatic and unmistakable minting error combined with perfect condition. Maybe it's the only known example of its kind, authenticated by experts and forever cemented in numismatic history as a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Such coins often find their way into major auctions, where bidding wars between wealthy collectors drive prices into uncharted territory. The allure of coin collecting has always been this blend of history, mystery, and possibility. Every coin is a miniature time capsule, carrying with it the story of its year, its design, and its production. The 1990 Lincoln cent tells the story of late 20th century minting, of the transition to zinc-based pennies, and of the ongoing challenges of maintaining perfection in mass production. But beyond that, it tells the story of human curiosity and the never-ending quest to find hidden treasures in the most unlikely of places. Imagine walking into a coin shop or a convention and seeing a 1990 penny on display with an error so dramatic and rare that experts from around the world gather to study it. Imagine the excitement of collectors placing bids, the media covering the story, and the eventual sale price shattering records. This is the kind of scenario that gives life to the claim of a $470 million penny. While most 1990 pennies will always be worth just 1 cent, the possibility of extraordinary rarities makes every coin worth examining carefully. That's why coin enthusiasts emphasize the importance of knowledge and careful observation. To the average person, a penny is just a penny. But to a trained eye, small anomalies like extra thickness in the date, a missing mint mark, or a slightly off-center strike could reveal a fortune. Many valuable coins have been discovered in circulation by people who took the time to look closer. In fact, stories abound of collectors finding rare 1990 proof pennies without mint marks in ordinary proof sets, coins that later sold for tens of thousands. It's a reminder that treasures are often hidden in plain sight. As we consider the idea of a 1990 penny worth $470 million, we must also acknowledge the role of imagination and storytelling in the world of rare coins. Some values are speculative, based on what might happen if the right buyer meets the right coin at the right time. Others are based on real auction records where rare coins have sold for millions. But in either case, the fascination remains the same. A tiny piece of copper-plated zinc, weighing just a few grams, can represent not only immense wealth but also the thrill,